suddenly everyone is talking about this island.
To Greenland.
Greenland.
It's being called a treasure chest, full of fresh new resources the world desperately wants. And some classic ones.
One way or the other, we're gonna get it.
But this is not about just one white man wanting a piece of land, and it is nothing new. The US has long been interested in Greenland. What is new today, though, is how Greenland is talked about. Not just as a strategic location for the US, but as a solution to supply shortages, to the energy transition, to dependence on China. If you follow the news cycle, you could get the impression that Greenland can solve it all. In this video, we will explain why many of the stories you may hear about Greenland's resources are incomplete. So let's start with what's underground. Greenland is not just a
Big, beautiful piece of ice.
It is in fact full of resources. Those getting the most attention right now are rare earth elements. They are hardly noticed by consumers like you and me, but they are all around us, making electric vehicles move, wind turbines spin, data centers run, and the device you are watching this on. But they're also buried deep inside things you rarely see up close: satellites, guided missiles, and fighter jets. In a world increasingly shaped by war and geopolitical conflict, rare earths now sit at the intersection of energy, technology, and security. The US and many other countries are worried because China overwhelmingly dominates global supply. So how does the Greenland's rare earth potential fit in here really? Diogo Rosa works for Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland. Every year he goes into the field to drill samples, to map, to analyze the geological potential.
Greenland's potential is mostly related with undiscovered resources. So we know the geology is favorable, so it's fair to admit or predict that there should be also significant resources, but they are undiscovered. We know how much there are, we just don't know exactly where they are.
And that matters a lot to the miners. According to the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, the island holds 36 million metric tons of rare earth elements. But this is only the total amount of existing resources. The proven and economically viable mineable reserves are much smaller. It's just 1.5 million metric tons. Greenland does have proven reserves, and this is what it looks like in global context. Greenland's reserves are almost 30 times smaller than China's, but they are still significant. However, the real bottleneck is not accessing the minerals. It is in processing them. Today, China mines 70% of rare earth elements and refines about 90% of the global supply. Most of the rare earth elements mined in the US actually go to China for refining and separation. When it comes to mining in Greenland, there are other uncertainties beyond those numbers. It often takes 15 to 20 years to go from early exploration to an operating mine. That's the global average, and it's based on places far less remote than Greenland. That long time matters to investors because technology and the materials needed for it change fast. And by the time mine finally opens, demand for what's being mined may already have shifted. This is what makes mining a high-risk business. According to the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada, only 1 in 10,000 exploration projects ever become a mine. And in Greenland, that risk is amplified. There is no road connecting two settlements, no infrastructure, no grid to power the mines, and not even enough workers. Every step is harder and more costly, and Greenlanders know this too well. The Nalunak gold mine operated from 2004 to 2013, before shutting down due to high costs. It was later bought and restarted, but so far it hasn't produced significant amounts of gold. That shows clearly having minerals is one thing, but commercially mining them is something else entirely. But that's not all. There's another factor that could become a deal breaker. The rare earth elements found in Greenland are not just rare, they are different. Come take a look at this. Most rare earths mined today are carbonate bound. That means relatively easy to process. In Greenland though, the largest rare earth deposits are silicate bound. That bond is much stronger, so harder to break apart. Extracting them requires more complex chemical processes, more energy, and that means higher costs.
The silicate material can almost behave like a gum, clogging equipment and slowing everything down. And there is more. The difficulties in Greenland due to the composition of the elements are not just technical. There's the environmental side as well.
Professor Anna Merrill has spent years studying how mining decisions affect communities and the environment in Greenland.
Rare earth elements often come in complex geological formations. They're usually not identified alone. There's often radioactive materials such as uranium and thorium connected to the minerals. So you can't take them out without also taking out the radioactive materials.
The concern is amplified by where this is happening, the Arctic.
The idea of materials with a radioactive content being there for thousands of years in a time of climate change and potential natural disasters, people didn't feel secure. The way that the cold works and how cold it is, it's an extreme environment, creates a situation where both plant life and animal life restore very, very slowly compared to the rest of the world.
For many Greenlanders, the environment underpins both culture and livelihoods. Fishing and tourism are the backbone of the economy. Both depend on clean water, which rare earth mining could affect through wastewater, tailings, and radioactive waste.
Because recreational fisheries and hunting actually fills up the freezer for the winter for many Greenlandic people.
These concerns shape real political decisions, and in 2021, Greenlanders drew a line.
That's when voters backed parties opposed to uranium mining in the general election. The new parliament later passed a ban. So even as global demand for rare earths grows, Greenland's resources come with limits. The island is often talked about like a shortcut to clean energy, a shortcut away from China. But when you zoom in, it stops looking like that. It would take years, if not decades, before mining could begin here. Processing the material hasn't been done at scale before, and the environmental risks aren't theoretical, they are local and real.
Greenland does have valuable resources, that part is real. What is less certain though is how much of it can be mined, how long would it take, and what the trade-off would be along the way.